There's gotta be more to the life that you live in. A future of purpose with days more fulfilling. You're created for better, a plan that's much higher. Keep dreaming and hoping and stay inspired.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of The Inspired Show, where life's experiences become written inspiration. My name is Darren.
And my name is Arlene. We're so excited to bring you homegrown authors, delve into their books, and witness them on their journeys as they go towards success.
And they will leave inspiration in the earth. And that's something we're going to hear a lot on the show, but it's intentional. And the reason for that is we want to inspire you to do something remarkable with your life story.
A big thank you to all our amazing sponsors. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing today if it weren't for you. A big shout out to our main headline sponsor, Bella Vita Events, for helping us set up this beautiful set today. Your generosity inspires us.
All of our sponsors' names are on the screen, and please do reach out to them and support their businesses.
Our first author story is one of victory and justice. But like many of our stories, it didn't start that way. Her book is an agony account of a mother who was left to explain to her granddaughter why she wouldn't meet her mother because she died while giving birth to her. What should have been a day of jubilation and celebration turned out to be a day of tragedy and loss when Bui Daweti lost her daughter in the delivery room at the hands of a negligent doctor.
Such a heartbreaking tragedy could leave anybody questioning the fairness of life. Why and how did this happen? And would there ever be any restitution?
These are difficult questions to answer. And like Mambui, many of us spend years longing for justice for our sufferings. But one thing we are promised is that God is on our side and that He gives us purpose for our pain. There's value in our purpose. And we trust that through today's episode that you will be reassured of the higher purpose and plan that God has for your life, even when you face your own tragedy. Let's meet today's special guest.
I am Bui Daweti, the author of Victory and Justice at Last, the brand owner of Stepping in Faith, and the CEO of Buhlali Construction and Project Management. I am the motivational speaker and the pastor. I'm motivating people and empowering people. That is me, Bui Daweti, for I like to empower and I would like to see people being restored. Therefore, you can contact me, Bui Daweti, the author of Victory and Justice at Last.
Mambui, welcome and thank you so much for joining us on The Inspired Show. Let's get straight into it, and I'd like for you to take us to that fateful day where your daughter gave birth. You must have been ecstatic to meet your granddaughter.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you to the Inspired team. Indeed, Darren, we were all excited actually because we already knew that she was a girl, and we already had a beautiful name for her, which is Lisa Kanya, means the light, and the other one, Lisedi, the star. So imagine how Pam felt when she was walking that corridor, going to the car, knowing that she's going to do this, bringing a additional member, because I had two children, Pam and Shalifo. So indeed, it was exciting day.
So at what point did you realize that something wasn't right and something was going wrong?
We actually, we had consent from the previous consultation when the daughter changed the date, because she was going to give birth on the 15th of August, natural. But on the 8th of August, the daughter changed the date and said she must go to the hospital on the 11th, which was already a consent. But you know, he's a professional, and we were like, he knows more than us. So we went for admission, where I noticed it was around the change of shift in the evening, because Pam was admitted in the morning, 5:30. So right through the day, they were giving her 2 hourly injections for what do you call it? To assist her in giving birth. So When they were about to change the shift, then the doctor came. Immediately, I smelled the alcohol, and I could see that this doctor is not alone. He's drunk, actually, but he was not that drunk, but I could see that something is not right. So he went and examined and did the procedure. That's when she told us that Pam was 2 centimeters away, so she'll give birth at 3 a.m. in the early hours of the next day. So already I was concerned.
Take us through what happened after that. So the doctor showed up drunk, you asked for another doctor, you were declined to have another doctor, and how did the whole situation end?
Okay, having noticed, Darren, that the doctor was drunk, I spoke to the head of staff and I asked them if it's possible that we change the doctor, because they could see that this doctor was drunk. But I could see that to them it was just a norm. They didn't see anything wrong. But as a mother, I was concerned. And they said if I removed Pam, it will be a high risk for me. And remember, she was already in medication. I went as far as to the doctor of my 2-year-old, Dr. Daya, where I asked him if he can call his brother, who was also a gynecologist, but he said there would be a clash between the doctors. So I was stuck and settled with this doctor. And everything went well. The nurses were giving her 2-hourly injection for inducing the induction. Yes, I remember. Yeah. Yes. So at 9, she was already at 5 centimeters, and these nurses were giving us the feedback that Pam is gonna make it because she's strong, she's fit, she's strong, the baby is fine, is healthy. But at 10:30, when she just made it to 9 centimeters, the doctor came in. Darren, I tell you now, he was worse than 7 o'clock. Why am I saying he was even worse? He came shouting at the nurses and taking off his jacket. I will never remember, even wrote it to my book, I will never remember that, I will never forget that brown and tan jacket that he threw on the floor, and the nurses were just up and down. You know, I was like, even the way he was treating the nurses, it was so unprofessional. And then he went to my daughter and he uttered these words, which I wrote in my book. Sisi, you wanted a natural birth, I'm gonna give you a natural birth. Then he started with his procedure using the vacuum extractor, which he manipulated with first, and then he held the head of the child, and he left, and then he started to put his hand inside, and he was like digging or opening an old bump that has been stuck. And then after that, he took a one right hand forceps. Remember, the forceps is 2. And for me, because I did science, you're supposed to hold both of them, hold and pull. But he used one forceps. What shocked me, it's the way he was digging with this forceps. I was like, he's gonna damage the child and my daughter's womb, you know? But the nurses were like, no, she's gonna be fine, she's gonna be fine. And then after that, she told Pam to pop up the baby. But before that, he said something very funny. He said, I'm gonna give you the natural birth, but as for you, you will never give birth natural again.
Take us through your journey. So in your book, you talk about a 12-year, and it almost feels like a David and Goliath face-off throughout the 12 years. Were there times where you felt like you weren't going to get justice? And how did you feel when you eventually did get justice for your daughter?
Darren, indeed, it was a very difficult, traumatic 12 years, which I can tell you now, it is divided into 4. Because in the first 4, it was like I was just bumping a tennis ball to the wall, coming back. Nothing was happening. Actually, I found out later, after 4 years, that my case was not given to the superiors. The people, I remember, is 4 prosecutors. They were just rotating it amongst themselves. Up until I had a dream where God showed me a door, and I went straight to that door, all to find out that it was a senior prosecutor of the court who had the case from me, and immediately called them. And he wanted to know that is when I knew that something was not right. But ever since Mr. Mavundla came into the picture, the next 4 years it was an inquest. And my case started to run smoothly. And we were hoping on the judgment day of the inquest that everything was going to be okay. But we were shocked when the magistrate, who has managed and judged through very strongly, but on the day of the judgment, he just came and said, nobody's liable.
When we come back, we take a look at the book writing journey of Mrs. Bui Daweti, Victory and Justice at Last.
One of the most daunting things when thinking about publishing your own book is thinking about whether you're going to be able to make money from it and how are you going to make this thing work. It was one of the things that really got me stressed out at the beginning when I was even just thinking of writing a book. But I was really lucky to have a trailblazer go before me, and that was my husband. And he taught me how to package, publish, and profit from my book, which is one of the things that you really want to be able to do when you are writing your book, is to be able to know how to profit from your book and how to make it work for you. One of my suggestions would be to work on your brand even before you are writing your book and before you are in the process of that, so that you have a brand that you can push forward when you are ready to market your book.
You're watching The Inspired Show, and our guest today is Bui Daweti, the author of Victory and Justice at Last. So, Mam Bui, before we went to the break, you detailed for us how a doctor showed up drunk at your daughter's labor, and basically it resulted in her death. Take us through that, but also, after 12 years, you now fought this doctor. At what point did you get to the place where you felt like this is victory and justice?
Thank you once more, Darren. As I was saying, that this doctor came drunk and he used this forceps. Actually, he cut my daughter 4th, 3rd degree, which it is said my daughter bled due to vaginal excessive bleeding. And he had a cardiac arrest when she died. And there were 20 units that she was assisted in hospital, but she didn't come back to life. That made me to take up the doctor to account, because what triggered me even more, before Pam died, he also gave me tablets saying I was also pregnant twins, and he gave me tablets saying that he wanted the twins to grow. It was 16 days before the death of Pam, and I miscarried. So when he did that to my daughter, because remember, I thought it was just a natural miscarriage. But when I saw the malpractice, that's when I said, no, something is not right. So I took the doctor to account.
Now, you've mentioned how it's taken 12 years, in fact 14 years since you've written your book, to get justice. And you eventually did get, the doctor was eventually convicted. And you could have been satisfied with the win. But why did you then decide to still take it further and write your journey in a book?
I like what you are asking, Daryl. One, during these 12 years, I searched, because this was not normal. So I searched for other families that went through the similar situation, not only through this doctor. And I found families that has lost their children, families that were removed womb without their knowledge. But I just want to answer you straight from the book. A real fear that I may lose these memories is what drove me to write this book. I cannot risk forgetting. I cannot allow Pam's memory to be forgotten. Her story had to be told. The world needs to hear it, and everyone needs to know what happened to my dear Noni Pam. Because Pam was already a shining star. She was in AFDA, Arts and Performance School. She was supposed to be in the movies, which is what I would like to see at the end of the day. Her dream comes true, to see her story in a movie. And the other people to be restored. Because remember, the people that I found had no voice, didn't know the channels, didn't have the knowledge, didn't have the resources. So I think God has given me the strength to make sure that it ends. So that's what pushed me to be that voice to the public, especially knowing who has gone through this. So I needed also the professionals, even the HPCSA, to understand that we are human, because the HPCSA says we need to be treated with dignity and with health care, and everybody have to be given a life, which is God-given life, because God has breathed unto us. So nobody is allowed to take us that from us.
Sure.
So I stood in the gap of those people who didn't have the strength. It was not easy, Darren. In the journey, I had 3 attempted stroke. I was admitted twice in psychiatrist hospital, as you know. I lost my husband. I miscarried twice, and I felt like something this doctor has done in my womb when he was cleaning me during the loss of the twins. So I had to stand, and I thank that I did. For I even say in my book, I vowed to get justice, even if it meant for me to live under the tree. I was willing to sell even my house to see justice. Guess what? Believe me, I was not fighting the doctor, because what I saw in that labor ward, it was not human. I was fighting the spirit behind the man.
Sure.
I was fighting the spirit behind the man.
So your book has been out for a while now. What has it done for you? How has it changed your life, and how has it impacted how you now tell your story and share your journey with others?
Thank you, Dee. We've been together in this journey, and I thank Inspired for that. This book has driven me even to leave my work, because I've been in almost 18 years in Eskom. But because I couldn't do what I'm passionate about, because my passion is to empower people, is to restore souls. I went as far as going to do theology, because I wanted to be closer to God, so that when I stand and speak, I speak with confidence that God has helped me, that God has transformed me, that God has changed my pain to be a message, which now is what I'm doing. I speak to the doctors, I speak to the nurses, like in May, on the 12th of May, it's an international day, as you know. Me and you were always there. And I also want to thank ABSA, because they also supported me, and they did that because that's a community service. So I engage with the youth, I engage with women. There's a lot of conferences that I speak to. And now I'm preparing for the movie that I have just drafted, and I pray that God can touch somebody to make sure that this story is on the screen.
Quickly, before we let you go, tell us about Step in Faith, which is an extension of your book, Victory and Justice at Last.
Thank you, Dee. Guess what? Step in Faith was born before Victory and Justice at Last. Why? Because I believed that me stepping in faith and believing that God will give me victory and justice at last, I had to step into that woman with the issue of blood, who went 12 years seeking healing. But at the end, when she touched that hem of Jesus' garment, she was healed. So Step in Faith came before the book. I knew that victory and justice will be done. So I had to step into supernatural faith.
Mambui, thank you so much for sharing with us your triumphs and your victory. When we come back, Mambui takes the platform and leaves inspiration in the earth.
Introducing the Inspired Authors Mastermind. Just what you need to go from blank page to published author. With best-selling author, publisher and coach Darren August.
Hey everyone, Darren August here, and one of the beautiful things about our online mastermind is that complete strangers get together with just one dream that unites all of them, and that is the dream of writing and publishing their own book.
We cover packaging, publishing and profiting from your book. Learn how to fund your book and turn it into an income stream, and you get a personal one-on-one with Darren to dive deep into your book journey.
So join us for this amazing online program. I'd love to help you get your book to the world.
Sign up today and let's get your book to the world.
Today, I would like to inspire, empower, and encourage somebody who went through challenges. Through my book, Victory and Justice at Last, which is a 12-year journey where the doctor killed my 3 children and I had to seek justice. Indeed, just know that above all, everything is possible to our God. We have been given different strength, but our strength is the source from above, which is God himself. Today, I want to know that in the midst of challenges that we are going through, know that the journey we have, it's like a train. I lost my 3 children, additional 2. But the people that we have lost, especially in this pandemic that we are going through, as the world, as the nation, and as the continent, it is like a train where the people get in the train and get off. The others get in and get off. And eventually, we reach our destination. And as we walk in this journey, we are walking like in the book. The book has different chapters. So I just want you to know that when you walk, empower somebody. When you walk, be strengthened. So that at the end of the day, when you depart from this world, people will remember you. My Pam was a very intelligent child. Her journey had to be cut short because of malpractice. But I didn't hold that. I had to stand and fight so that I can get justice, so that I can stand for those that need to be restored, those that didn't know the channels, those that didn't have the resources. I want you to stand today and say that you can do it. You can do it. Even in this time, during this pandemic, we can all fight it together, and victory and justice we will receive. It will prevail. For the doctor, at the end of the day, was sent into prison for 5 years. Therefore, today, it is the day where I want you to arise and shine and know that the race you are running now, it will end to the finishing line and you will get victory and justice. God bless you and thank you. Stand and run the race.
What an inspiring message from Mambuyi. Isn't it amazing how somebody could take tragedy and turn it into triumph? Before we end of today's show, I'd like to give you a book writing tip, especially if you're thinking about starting with your own book. Start with a mind map. Literally, that spider diagram you used to write in school when you had to write an essay, that's what I'm talking about. So start with a mind map, write your main theme or your main idea in the middle, and then have all of the possible topics you could chat about around your main theme. Thereafter, narrow it down to a few and a few and a few until you've got exactly the points you're wanting to make. Your mind map then becomes your outline, and that guides you in the writing process when it comes to writing your manuscript. And then just start writing.
What if your life could leave a legacy? What if your message became a mandate? What if your book inspired the world?
The mastermind was very informative, I would say, and I was really inspired with every single session that we got. And Inspired literally lives up to the name Inspired.
You know, I saw Darren's face and his smile and just his passion, you know, and I was like, I want to work with this person.
I wasn't even sure that what I was writing was good material because it's the first time I started writing. So I needed an opinion, and I thought, no, let me get Darren in and see. He's helping people with so many books. Maybe he can help me too. So I sent him half of my script and I booked him for an hour, and when I spoke to him, he just gave me inspiration that I finished the half of the other book in a month's time.
Everybody thinks about writing and everybody has a story in their mind, but nobody ever commits it to paper until you get the right help. And I think it was a godsend and it was timely, and the experience was worthwhile. It was worth every effort and every sacrifice we made for it.
My advice to you is keep on keeping on. You know, it's never too late.
He allows you to have wings
and he will, if need be, clip it and correct, but the encouragement is continual.
And even the one-on-one, which is such a personal thing, just a conversation, figuring out what you want to do for your book and actually bringing that dream alive, that was the best part for me. And even myself, I'm in New York, Darren's in South Africa, but this has a reach to the world.
Hey there, I'm Darren August. I'm a best-selling author, coach, and publisher. And at Inspired Publishing, we understand just how overwhelming writing and publishing your first book can be. And so why not reach out to us? We'd love to hold your hand, guide you through the process, and help make your book dream a reality.
Contact us now and let's get your book to the world.
We hope that today's episode left you inspired and thinking about how you can turn your most tragic moments into inspiration for others. We'd love to hear from you. Please get in touch with us on the details on the screen. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, stay inspired.
There's gotta be more to the life that you live in. A future of purpose with days more fulfilling. You're creative for better, a plan that's much higher. Keep dreaming and hoping and stay inspired. You're creative for better, a plan that's much higher. Keep dreaming and hoping and stay inspired.